Hey guys, KangaskId18 here, and today I've got a top 10 list that people have been requesting for quite a while. It's my personal choices for the top 10 worst shinies of all time. But this is going to be so much more than that, because instead of just telling you why I think these shinies are subpar, I'm going to present various ways that these shinies could be vastly improved. We're going to begin with the mediocre end of the shiny spectrum and continue until we reach the truly egregious, so let's get started with number 10, Popplio and Brionne. Now these fashionable sea lions have ended up in the same entry together because A, both their shinies can be greatly improved, and B, they can be improved in the same way. And it's not that I really hate the shinies. Popplio turns a darker blue with a nice pink collar, which I like, and Brionne becomes kind of purple with a pink tutu, which is just kind of meh. It's more that I think they could be improved so much. On one hand, you could go with the old trope of turning all blue Pokemon a bright magenta, which looks good on Popplio, while Brionne would look better in more of a salmon color. Or you could flip this, turning both of them turquoise while their nose gets magenta. I featured both of these color changes in my original shiny speculation video, but it wasn't until later that I found a more opportune color for these shinies. How about instead we turn Popplio a lemon yellow with a turquoise nose and collar, while Brionne gets the same treatment, albeit in more of a deep saffron. I think both of these could look fantastic, and while I like the shinies we've got today, it's clear to me that these colors would be far superior. Moving on to the number 9 spot on today's list, we've got Dialga and Palkia. Again, condensed into one entry because I think they're somewhat related Pokemon. And like the previous entry, it's another example of two shinies that I don't really hate, but rather find a little mediocre. Dialga is by far the better of the two, turning a dark turquoise with bright green highlights, while Palkia merely becomes a more saturated pink color all over. But what if instead of all that, the shinies for Dialga and Palkia switched the colors of their normal forms, with Dialga becoming a bright pink with reddish highlights, and Palkia becoming a deep cobalt with light blue highlights. Both of these look distinct and fantastic, and though it'll never happen, I'd love to see these shinies look like this. And next up, we've got our number 8 spot, the Gnash Teeth Pokemon Bruxish. Bruxish is based off the state fish of Hawaii, a creature known as the Huma Huma Nuka Nuka Apua'a. And yes, I just gave you that factoid to let you know that I could properly pronounce Huma Huma Nuka Nuka Apua'a. Anyway, because both Bruxish and the Huma Huma Nuka Nuka Apua'a are brightly colored, it makes sense that Bruxish should receive a distinct shiny. And as it turns out, it is distinctive. It's, what the hell is it exactly? A combination of vermilion red, bright green, and white has made people compare this shiny to, among other things, a Christmas ornament, a pepperoni pizza, and a piranha plant from Mario. But it's none of those things, and the shiny is a little disappointing to say the least. So how to make it a cool and distinctive shiny? Well, unlike other shinies on this list, the shiny I came up with was inspired by an outside source, in this case a YouTube comment that said Bruxish should have a shiny based off Dr. Frankenfurter from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and damn it, Janet, they were right. Take Bruxish's bright colors and make them grayscale, but give it bright red lips and boom, you've got a beautiful distinctive shiny that pays tribute to the literal legend that is Tim Curry. Moving downwards on the list, we've got our number 7 spot, Jolteon. And while I love Jolteon as a Pokemon, its shiny gives a whole new meaning to the word bland. In this case, our lovely white and yellow electric-type Pokemon turns a sickly green overall. Jolteon clearly deserves better than this, so I thought perhaps we could turn Jolteon a much darker color, almost black, but make its spiky mane a bright yellow instead. It's a big change, but it takes Jolteon's shiny form from being frail and sickly to being bold and vibrant, and in my opinion, that is always a good thing. As it turns out, evolutions may have a bit of a shiny problem, because the number 6 spot on today's list is Leafeon. First debuting in Generation 4, Leafeon is one of those Pokemon with so much shiny potential that just didn't deliver. Its shiny turns from pale yellow and green to kind of a tan, and a different green. Talk about your missed opportunity, because in my opinion, there is only one way to go on shiny Leafeon. Turn the whole thing bright yellow with brown highlights, like the color the leaves get in autumn. It may be a stereotypical thing to wish for shiny Leafeon, but you can't deny the results. This shiny looks good. And with that, it's time to move on to some of the real contenders for worst shiny of all time, starting with the number 5 spot on our list, Garchomp. Yeah, you heard that right. I think there are 4 other Pokemon that have a shiny that's worse than shiny Garchomp. And I think shiny Garchomp actually gets kind of a bad rap for what's relatively not so terrible as shiny. The whole thing turns kind of a gray color, with the red bits turning a distinctive orange, and the yellow bits, well, pretty much staying the same kind of yellow. It's different enough that I can tell it apart in battle, but I still think it could be a whole lot better. And ironically, the best ways to improve this shiny involve giving it the colors of its pre-evolutions. The first option turns shiny Garchomp a deep blue color with orange and yellow highlights, pretty much much the exact same colors as shiny Gabite. And not only does this improve upon the previous shiny, but it is more than distinctive enough. But the best is yet to come, as Garchomp has yet another pre-evolution in Gible. Shiny Gible is one of the best shinies in the game, turning a bright cerulean on top with yellow on the bottom and cyan highlights. And apply this color scheme to shiny Garchomp and holy cow, what the hell, Game Freak? You have this amazing design staring you right in the face this whole time, and you go with this? No, get that thing off screen. Yeah, that's better. Alright, from now on, I'm just gonna pretend shiny Garchomp looks like this, and nobody can tell me any different. Anyway, with that, we've got today's number 4 spot, Gengar. And if you thought shiny Garchomp barely changed its colors, you're in for a real treat. Or is it a trick? Because when Gengar becomes shiny, its purple becomes, like, a more desaturated purple, and its pink eyes get, I guess, like a lighter pink. I honestly don't know. Its shiny looks so similar to its normal form. So it's time to improve upon it. And I think there is one easy thing you can do to make this shiny look great. Simply turn its eyes from pink to yellow. Honestly, the eyes could turn any color you wanted because it just so happens that changing the colors of a Pokemon's eyes is one of the easiest ways to make it a distinctive shiny. We see it time and time again with Pokemon like Venonat, Lunatone, Aron, Glalie, and Claydol all receiving a bold change to the eye color while keeping most of the other colors looking very similar. And though I think this looks great, we could go one step farther and give Gengar the same shiny coloration as its Mega Evolution, in this case becoming a bright white overall, but with black eyes. This also looks awesome, and I could honestly take either option to replace Gengar's current shiny. Next up, we've got the number 3 spot on today's list. It's Dewgong and Seel, 2 Pokemon with some of the most subtle shinies of all time. And I'm not kidding, these 2 water-ice types change from being a pure snow color overall to being a weird, off-white, almost eggshell. And it really doesn't look good. But I think we can fix it, and as I've always said, there's no shiny quite as good as a blue shiny. So let's take that mantra and apply it to these shinies, turning Seel into a pale blue with dark blue jowls, and turning Dewgong into a pure cyan. I think both of these look great, but Dewgong may be missing just a little something. So let's keep all the colors the same, but turn the eyes a bright amber gold. And I'm kind of torn on this one. Half of me thinks this looks awesome, and half of me thinks those eyes look really weird. But either way, it's far superior to what we had before. And with that comes the number 2 spot on today's list, and a truly odd Pokemon, it's Cosmog. Because, like, what is Cosmog exactly? Is it a legendary? Not really, because it evolves. But it comes from Ultra Space, so is it an Ultra Beast? Like, I really have no idea. Perhaps the upcoming Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon can shed some light on these questions. So how come it's so high on today's list? Well, to answer that, I think we've got to show off its evolution, Cosmoem. Now, these 2 Pokemon are shiny locked in Pokemon Sun and Moon, but the shinies are still coded into the game. And there, Cosmoem turns a nice deep red color, while Cosmog turns... Really? That's it? Pink cheeks? That's all you're gonna give this thing and call it a shiny? Jeez, talk about being asleep at the wheel. Alright, so Cosmog is a particularly crappy shiny, which is weird considering Cosmoem looks so good. So to fix that, let's take Cosmog and turn it into a beautiful red gradient, magenta above and orange below. Kind of like it's a nice sunset, which fits in really well into the nebula thing that Cosmog's got going on. It feels like this is not a really difficult shiny to create, and yet somehow, for a Pokemon that seems so well designed, Cosmog remains entirely lacking when it comes to its shiny. And up next, we've got the number 1 spot on today's list, and the very worst shiny Pokemon of all time. It's Igglybuff. Yeah, this balloon Pokemon is a truly terrible shining, turning from pink to, I guess, like a light lavender? I seriously don't know what this is. In fact, it's so bad that when I was hunting for my living shiny dex, Igglybuff was the only one out of 788 Pokemon whose shiny I didn't recognize immediately. And its evolution is no cakewalk either. Jigglypuff turns from a bright pink to a pale lavender as well, but at least its eyes become a brilliant emerald. Imagine how easy it'd be to have Igglybuff do the same thing. Boom. Green eyes, what a difference. Like I said before, changing the eye colors of a Pokemon is the simplest thing you can do to make a good-looking shiny. But as distinctive as this looks, there still seems to be something missing. I think it's because Wigglytuff has such a good-looking shiny, turning a much deeper lavender and keeping the green eyes. It seems like this is a case where the entire evolution line could have a similar shiny. So to fix Game Freak's misstep, let's turn Igglybuff and Jigglypuff the same dark lavender color as their evolution. And man, what a difference it makes. It's not the greatest looking shiny in the world, but it's decently good looking. And with such a simple change, I'm amazed that Igglybuff has kept its horrendously bad shiny coloration low these many years. Well guys, that concludes my list of the top 10 worst shiny Pokemon. I hope the solutions I provided improve upon some of these truly awful shinies. Do you disagree? Are there some of these shinies that you think are great? Are there some that look worse? How would you fix these awful shiny Pokemon? There are a lot of pretty craptastic shiny Pokemon out there, so if you guys like this video, I could definitely see myself doing a follow-up. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching guys, and as always, we are gonna see you on the next shiny.